Hello, I'm Debbie. I wanted to get on here and talk to you about a couple of things. This is about resources to use in order to be able to give information about grief and that internal virtual map that we have that helps us locate our loved ones when they're on the planet. And all of that goes awry and gets completely blown up when the person isn't on the planet anymore. So I used two different resources. This is I don't have this in a regular in an old-fashioned book. I have it on my Kindle. This is the Grieving Brain. It is by Mary Frances O'Connor. It's an excellent book about the neurology and the science of grief. And she talks about, and I know I put this in the description, but I'm gonna read it to you anyway. There's so much information in here. Here's this piece of that we use our brain maps to find our loved ones, to predict where they're at, to search for them when they're gone. That we have some sense that of where they probably are or how long it'll take us before we'll probably be able to get a hold of them, okay, when they're alive. And she talks about the key problem is in grief is that there is a mismatch between the virtual map that we use to find our loved ones and the reality of after they die, they can no longer be found in those dimensions of space and time. She goes on to add the unlikely situation that they're not on the map at all is the alarm and the confusion that this causes is one of the reasons why grief is so overwhelming. So I wanted to tell you about this other resource that is complementary to that. In fact, actually, it's through the Huberman podcast. Huberman podcast is one of my favorite resources lately. It's Andrew Huberman is a neuroscientist out of Stanford University, and his whole mission is to be able to tell anybody through his podcast is to teach them about their brain. He takes different subjects, and so he decided to tackle grief last year. And somebody just recently, a few weeks ago, had forwarded me the podcast. I was so excited because it's a long podcast. I think it's a couple of hours, and I've already seen it a couple of times. I like listening to it, but I really like watching it on YouTube. I just tend to take it in a different way. So I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna share my screen, and so I really wanted to show you how I here it is, how I share this with my clients. So here's the YouTube. I go over to his site of Huberman Lab and pick the science and process of healing from grief, and then I go down. And here's what's really, there's so many things that are helpful that and Huberman includes. And he does a whole lot of research about whatever subject it is that he's teaching about. And much of his work is from Mary Frances O'Connor's grief, all of her neuroscience and her book. So if you go down and he timestamps different subjects that he covers. And so there's one piece that I really wanted to be able to share with one of my clients, which was explaining the 3 dimensions of relationships. So what I did is during session, and it was an online session, although I could have done it here in the office if the person was in the office, is I just went to the time clip. I had talked a little bit about the concept beforehand. We had spent a week talking about that mapping, and then I said, here, let's just watch this piece, and it's about 6 or 7 minutes. Um, so you have to do the slight advertising. Okay. So I'm going to come back to you. I love that. I know it's long. It's about 20 minutes there. But that explanation, then we really understand the surrealness of when somebody is not here. And he referred to Ross's stage of denial. I tend not to use the word denial. I tend not to use the stage approach, but being able to describe the neuroscience behind the feelings that it's so surreal and why is this makes so much sense. So just want to share this resource and the way that I use it is that I will share little clips like that, which actually helps my client then go, oh, okay, I got a little snip of that. Maybe I'll be willing to listen to the rest of it. And for some people, reading a book makes more sense to them. I tend to think that a lot of grievers we know have a really hard time concentrating and a hard time paying attention. And so sometimes a podcast, listening to little bits here and there, that information can go in a little bit more effectively. So check out Andrew Huberman's lab, the science and process of healing from grief. And I hope that is helpful for all of you. Thanks. Bye-bye.